Hey, it is a Labor Day Monday. Michigan had their first game. My brother was there. We're going to get into it and his experience. So stick around.
Turn that off. It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Hello, everybody. This is Steve, and this is No Pad Sports Talk. As I said, I'm one of the hosts. I'm Steve. We're doing all this a little backwards, so I'm trying to figure out where I'm supposed to speak now. But I am Steve, and then this is my brother.
And I am JD.
That's right.
And as we talked about there in the open, Michigan had their first game. My brother was there. And look, Steve, for those that don't know, right, you're obviously a sports lover. We know that. You love all kinds of sports. We go to a lot of different sports games, things like that. We talk, anything from women's basketball all the way to the Olympics, to baseball, football, etc. But really, Michigan and college football is your thing, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's really hard to describe how I feel about college football. Especially when you're going to a football game, just like the atmosphere itself, right?
Well, you actually have season tickets to Michigan, right?
We do. So this is our second year that we've actually had our own season tickets. So last year, first year we had our own, but we've been going to games, my wife and I, since 2009 when I moved back to Michigan and got stationed back here.
Right.
Ironically enough, my best friend Scott, who's also a huge Michigan fan, huge college football fan, had these season tickets, and we actually shared them with a couple of other people, so we were, didn't have to buy the cost of the whole, all 7 games, right? So it was nice, you get to share them with 4 couples, and you get 2 games, 3 games a year, depending on how that worked out. But the first game I got to go to, as soon as I got back, we moved back to Michigan in July of 2009. Got moved in, season started, and unfortunately, I spent all this time out of the state, right? And my buddy Scott was here, family's been here, and just as I was moving back, he had taken a job down in Oklahoma, and he was actually moving the next month. So I think they moved in September. So we got to go to 1 game together, and then I bought him out on his side of the tickets. So we, and then Jen and I would get tickets every year from 2010, till last year, where, at minimum we were going to 2 games a year.
Right.
Some of the couples that we had, they didn't like to take the late games because they were snowbirds, so they traveled. They were retired, so they'd leave in October. So they're trying to get the games early. Jen and I usually ended up with the games late, and there were times where we actually picked up a 3rd game. So it's definitely an experience. We've been tailgating with the same group that whole time. And it's just an experience. Even if you've never gone to the game and been in the stadium, just the tailgating experience, that it is just phenomenal. And everybody that ever comes by, always stops and is like, you guys are doing it right. Like, we just, and I'm just sort of really sliding in, because while I'm there, I don't have, like, the guy, Mike Alexander, he's been doing this over 20 years, tailgating and getting season tickets. So,
right.
He's got a lot of experience, lot more experience at tailgating than I do. I mean, they bring down a trailer and unload this stuff. So,
well, we actually have some pictures of your tailgating going on, but before we kind of get into that, before we actually get into the game, a brief overview, just a quick thing. Like if you had to say, give it, I don't know, a sentence, 2 sentences, something like that, as far as your overall experience at the game, not in the past, but just, this first game? Like, how would
This
you
first
describe it?
game, I could give it to you in one word. It was electric.
Okay, that's a good
Uh,
word. Yeah.
it was electric. Like I said, we've been going to these games a long time. You're gonna see a couple of these photos, but
Well, we're talking about. Let's bring them up then, I guess.
yeah, um,
Um.
it yeah, it's an electric atmosphere. It really is.
Hmm. Hold on a second. For some reason, it's not coming up. I need another minute here. Why
Yeah,
is it? There we go. I think I got it fixed now. Thought I already had this figured out first before we started this, but I guess not.
yeah.
Here we go. Right.
All
This
right.
is
So this is just the flags and the banner that you see there is that's Mike's, right? Now there is one, and it's this flag right here. So there's the American flag and the Michigan flag, and then there's a flag behind it. That is actually my flag. That's where we park. We park right next to each other, right?
oh,
So
is that the M with the Wolverine you're talking about?
yes.
Okay. All right.
So yeah. So it's kind of the furthest one in the background there.
All right.
Is that's coming off my van. So, I've got a flagpole, it goes up 20 feet, put the flag up there, we do but Mike, like I said, he's got this banner, the flags, he's got, all of his stuff. So that's just the front side. So if you hit the
next
next
one?
picture, yeah. So this is actually him. So we're basically three across. So his sons are here on the left. When you're looking at the picture,
By
that's going to be
A2?
their. Yep. And then to the right, that's Mike's stuff. Mike's where he parks, and then I'm right next to them, to the right of that.
All right.
All right. So where you got your A2 sign, and Mike's been collecting these Michigan helmets. Basically what he says, he tried like one a year, right? Because some of them are super expensive, and like I want to say a couple of them are actually game day helmets that
Oh,
people have
wow.
gotten, right? And if not, they're really good replicas.
Yeah, I
Okay.
see. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here because I see one that says, I can see a sign saying not for sale.
Yeah.
But it almost looked like one was, nope, it must have been to something I was looking at. It looked like something was signed. I wasn't sure if it was or not, but it doesn't look like
Yeah.
it. But
So, and you can see he's got some leather helmets in the back here on the
oh,
back
yeah,
left,
right over here.
right? Yeah. So, and then he gets up. If you're kind of going left to right, you're going really your older helmets to your newer helmets. If you're going
Okay.
left to right.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. So just a phenomenal setup. And the nice thing about the helmets is when he takes them out there, because they're out in the open, even when they're in the rain, you're not worried about them getting damaged, right? You dry
Right.
them off. He's got little handmade sacks. It was his mother-in-law who made them, but they're obviously Michigan, right? Michigan material.
Mm-hmm.
And you put them in the bag. He's got a big hockey bag that he keeps them all in. So, and you can see a Wolverine right there in the center between the two tents. He's got a stuffed Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's really cool.
it is. Exactly. And like I said, it's a really cool setup. And we are always, because we park at Ann Arbor Pioneer High School.
Okay.
So when you're walking, we are basically, we're on front row. We'll call it front row.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like right off the concrete right here. And that path, taking that path off to your right off that picture, takes you straight over to the stadium when you cross the street, right?
All right.
So 200,000 people can walk by this thing, right? And it seems like every year Mike gets interviewed by M Live. Like this picture's actually on M Live right now.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I got it from, because I've taken this picture so many times.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have it. I just didn't want to sit. I could sit and sort through it. It just would have been an older picture, but it's the same. It always, like where he parks, there's a spot where there's a drain that he looks for. and that's his spot. And then his son's next to him, and we're next to him on the other side. So we've
Yeah.
got 3 abreast, and those tents are too deep on his side, but I'm
I
closer to
see
the
that.
and I'm closer to the concrete. So I only have the one canopy up, but my section is kind of where we're doing our cooking and where all the food is. And all
Okay.
the hanging out is right here.
I have to ask,
Yeah.
what'd you have? What kind of food?
So this one was actually the most traditional tailgate food we've ever had, and it was just hot dogs and sausage.
Okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
typically, right, on the first game, this is the first time we've had a game that started at 7:30 for the first game of the season. Usually it's a noon game, and on that game, that very first game, and it's almost always the same because we'll call it tradition,
All right.
but I think it's superstition to kind of go along with that, right?
Okay.
But typical breakfast would have been a breakfast sausage mixed with venison, right? So they make hamburger patties out of it.
All right.
And then fried egg to go on top of that.
All right.
Yeah.
Definitely good. Yeah.
Very good. So, we eat really good when we go tailgating. So and again, something non-traditional, a chicken Caesar salad, right? You cook the grilled chicken up there. You got your stuff. You make your grilled chicken sandwich or salad. Not grilled chicken. Your Caesar salad. I'm sorry. But whatever we want, like during usually at the end of the season, depending on especially if we're playing Ohio State, we're usually playing them right around Thanksgiving. I'll deep fry a turkey, and we have Thanksgiving dinner. Right.
All right.
So, and this was a 7:30 game, and Ann Arbor Pioneer, the parking lot doesn't open until noon. Okay, and we're there, like from when they open the gates to start letting people park, we are there. At noon games, 3:30 games, we're there at 6 a.m. That's when they open the gates.
So this is what is something else that you've seen that's pretty cool that maybe someone else's setup that you saw that was tailgating that you really liked?
It's so different for everybody. I saw a guy, like, there was a tailgate. It was kind of across from us over to the left, and they brought like a bar.
Oh, okay. Like a
right?
like a full.
Yeah.
Now, when you say bar, do you just mean alcohol or an actual like?
No,
wooden...
like the bar itself. Like it didn't have the stools, but you could see the bottle sitting on top of it. It was a bar.
Okay.
It had to be, I don't know, 8-10 feet long. And I don't know if it was in pieces, like, I would assume so they could travel with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you sit up there and they're making their food. They do there's a horn that goes off every so often, and when you hear the horn, everyone picks up a drink. Everyone waits for it because then they all got their shots and they all take their shot when the horn goes off. But yeah, it was just
all right.
It was great. Yeah.
Let's see what else we got in here for pictures. Okay.
So this is what you're looking at here is mine. So the Wolverines tent right here.
All right.
So you can see I've got tablecloths that are Michigan. We've been preparing for this stuff for a long time, and this is Mike over here in the hospital gear, and the yellow suit over to the left. He's setting out his helmets now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Mike, and those scrubs his mother-in-law made. So it's really cool. And these ones are actually shorts, but yeah, you can't miss him. Right?
No.
And he's got them for winter gear. He's got a jacket that looks just like that. I mean, he's set up, right? So as you can see, you've got the grill out here. We got tables that actually went up between us. That's where we had food set up as well and snacks. And we're ready to go. I'm already there. This is the picture my wife took. I'm right there in the corner.
Yeah, I see ya.
I'm already relaxed. We got there at 10:45. We were all set up by noon, and we were ready to go. right? But you can see all the stuff just that I bring, right? So all these buckets and stuff that's down here, the tables, the grill, the canopy, right? The carpet,
Yeah. Yeah.
the rugs, the chairs, the cooler, all that I just fit in the back of the van.
Wow. Okay.
And for this one, new this year, my wife went camping. She works at the local community college here at Macomb Community College, and she got asked to go down with the geology department down to Kentucky to help out. She had to drive a van down there.
Mm-hmm.
So she was tent camping down there. She bought this inflatable. It's like, I won't call it inflatable. It's on a mattress. So it's like memory foam, but it pulls in air. So it'll help. It's like air and memory foam. And we
Okay.
bring that because it was such a late game. She brought it so she could take a nap. So
that's smart. Okay.
that's exactly right. So it's laid out
Yeah.
in the van. So she can lay down and take a nap if you're ready to take a nap.
All right. Let's see what else we got then. All right.
And again, this is me and my wife, Jennifer. That's a new chair for us. Mike's got a couple, and my wife really loved them. So she found one on Marketplace. And then I'm just sitting in my rocker. I got a camping chair that's a rocking chair.
Oh, nice.
And
okay.
It's like a little stool, a little camping stool.
Yeah.
That I got my feet propped up on, so it looks like I'm all reclined because I am reclined.
Well, and in the background here, you can kind of see you got the Michigan scoreboard. Like right there's a stadium, right?
Yep. So now that Michigan scoreboard right there, I know that was new last year, right? So
Okay.
the old scoreboard was 109 feet by 55 feet. That new scoreboard right there is 179 feet by 62 feet.
Jeez. Huge.
And the picture quality on it is freaking ridiculous, right? It's amazing. So it's the quality is just great because the old one, it was even hard to just see, like watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
And now when they're on the other end, because of where our seats are, from one corner of the end zone to the other corner of the end zone, it can be difficult to kind of watch. I mean,
Okay.
You see the play develop on the field, but it's nice to be able to look up at the screen and actually see the replay.
Like more details, kind of closer up.
Absolutely.
And we actually got later on some pictures of like where your seats are in the stadium and stuff too.
That's correct. Yep.
All right.
So this was after we all got set up and just before we went over to the Emden to do some shopping.
Okay. So did you buy some more stuff at the Emden?
My wife picks up those. They got they sell pins that says beat whatever team. So we went and got this season's. Except for Fresno State, they didn't have one for Fresno State. So we're hoping we'll be able to pick one of those up throughout the rest of the year.
Okay. Let's see. And is that clock accurate? So is that more like what 1:30, 12:30? I can't really see it.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 12:30ish. But yeah, it was inaccurate. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see what else we got here.
And you can see there's not a lot of people in the parking lot there. But this was after we got into the stadium. And I will tell you, so the next couple that you're going to look at are just the crowd. So we go into the game an hour before game time. All right, so game kickoff was at 7:30. We were walking in at 6:30. And this is the first time that we didn't just walk kind of straight in and not, right, and I have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
This was the most people I had seen in their seats prior to kickoff. Like this, we took this picture. Looks like they're getting ready to kick off. So I think I took it just before. So the sun is set. Probably sometime in the first quarter is when I took this. Because the sun, you can still see it kind of over in the upper left-hand corner. When we walked in, it was probably right about the start of the first quarter.
All right.
And typically there are people still filing in at, midway through the first quarter. And this was not the case today. Or at least that day. Like, that's why I said when, like, it was electric, that's what I meant.
They were all, like, ready for football to begin and just couldn't.
We are ready to kick that off. Absolutely.
All right.
Yep. And then this is us. This is the pregame. Now, we had just gotten into our seats, and you can see the empty seats kind of up right around here, or around the rim. But we took that early as soon as we got there. By the time we got sat down, so this was taking about 6:30 p.m. You can see how much sun there is along, because our seats used to be directly across from where we are right now. So we would have been in the sun till about 8:15, right? So when we got to come in, we were actually already in the shade, so it's really nice.
All right. And then there's your view, right?
Yep. So from where we're sitting in our seats, if you go directly across, there's like looks like a tree directly across from where we're at.
Here?
So there's, right there. So if you were to come down just above the shadow line, somewhere in that area right there where you had your cursor, that's where our seats used to be.
Okay.
Right. So kind of the same thing. It's a great corner. And it looks like you're further away in pictures than when you're actually there. But you can see the clarity of the
scoreboard.
The scoreboard, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. So is that timer? Is that 41 minutes before kickoff? Is that what that is saying?
It was. Yeah,
okay.
That's what it was counting down. 41 minutes before kickoff. And then that right where you got your cursor, or where it was over here on the upper left of the picture, that's the student section.
Oh, okay.
Yep, right here. So the students are still filing into that section. That's probably the most empty one at the time. But I will tell you, I sat down, and it was just incredible how many people were already in their seats ready for this game.
All right, let's see.
And it was a game where many people didn't leave like they normally do.
So what is this? What are these things?
So this was new this year, because I never saw them last year at any of the games. But these are it's like cooling stations. So the benches for the players are now under these tents, right? Now the helmet hangers is what I'm going to call them. The air dryers right here, they're poking up.
Top here, yeah.
Yep. But that's just, they have people sitting under there. And a 7:30 game, you didn't have to worry about it, right? Because the sun's not hitting you. But that 12 game, that noon game, and that 3:30 game, these guys are getting cooked.
Right.
Right. It is extremely hot down on the field. And so I saw these and I noticed them. I'm like, oh, that's new. So it's got to be nice for the players, because they're going to be able to keep the sun off of them. But what I did notice is that it's not on the visitor side.
That's smart, right? I mean,
right.
What team was it? In Florida, they actually instead of wearing like the dark uniforms for home, they wear light uniforms for home, just to make it so that you got to take every advantage you can, right?
You take every advantage you can, right? Exactly. So this was a really good thing. I think it's great for the players. And I saw it and I'm like, I got to send this to Scott because, just so you can see it.
Well, speaking of like good things for the players and new things added, like they did some renovations, like actually inside the locker room and stuff like that, right? To kind of make the stuff for the players.
Absolutely. Now, this is unlike any locker room you're ever going to see.
All right.
Like, I've been inside some locker rooms. Like I got to go inside. I've been in the Lions locker room. I've been in the Red Wings locker room. Right. I've been in the Tigers at Comerica Park. I've been in their locker room. I need to figure out how to get a tour of this locker room. Because
I know they give tours for the stadium. I'm not sure if that includes a locker room or not.
I would think they would want to, right? Especially now that they've redone it. But this is, as far as something new, obviously that's new, but the locker room is new. So these are some of the games that they got, right? So the Maze Out, that's next week against Texas. And you can see that, it's a sea of yellow, and I love it.
Yeah.
Right? And then homecoming is against Arkansas State. It's funny because Michigan starts their season with 5 straight home games.
Oh, okay.
So this last Saturday and for the next 4 Saturdays coming up, it's all home games. And it's weird because now they're talking about homecoming. You think homecoming, you've had an away game and you're now coming home to a game. Nah, not these guys.
Well, the stripe out looks pretty cool
It
against
does.
USC.
So Penn State does that a lot,
Yeah.
right? So if you've ever seen Beaver Stadium or seen a Penn State game, they do it with the white and the blue, and it looks fantastic, even especially at night, right? So this would be a first for Michigan Stadium, the stripe out itself. And so my section is actually going to be blue.
Now, where do they
doesn't
go
matter.
for if people are attending that game? Where do they go to find out what section they need to?
So all you need to do, if you go to the Michigan Athletics website,
Yeah.
MichiganAthletics.com, I think is what it is, or it's .org. It'll tell you in the games. It gives you game time, where to park, what to wear, like what's going to happen. So we had for this game, they had the flyover and they had parachute team come down.
Okay, that's cool.
So, and that's you'll find out where all that is off the Michigan Athletics website.
All right. That's pretty cool, huh? Those who stay will be champions.
This is, that's a big part of what Michigan is about, right? And if I remember, I think that was Bo Schembechler. Those who stay will be champions. But if not, the team, that's definitely Bo Schembechler. Right? Because there's nothing more important than the team.
Right. And right now we're looking at their each individual locker, right?
Correct. So you have these walls here, and then you're looking at the locker. So they've got their number. And in college, you'll have players that have the same number because the teams are so big.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like in the NFL where you got to have a 53-man roster. These guys carry, 80, 89, 90, and some of the numbers, but they're usually it's an offensive guy and a defensive guy. And then they can share the number. But their lockers got their name on there. So
this is really, really nice. Looking at like as far as like it almost gives them a little bit of privacy too. Like as far as like locker is, it's not just one bench they all share. Like this is
correct. Like they can kind of sit down. It's like their own little cubby. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Oh, that's a better look at it, right? This is what
it is. And you see
recliner.
It's a recliner. Yeah. Right. So like they spared no expense. And I think I said it was $14 million is what they put into the locker room.
And so looking up what the number name is, those are like little flat screen TVs. Yeah. Do they do anything else with those? Like as far as like besides just the name and number, will they do anything else up there for them?
I don't know. As far as the locker room goes, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with those. I think right now it's obviously just easy to have that LCD screen so that they can type the name and number up there or where they're going to be. I would assume when you're in here and in your locker as a player, you're not really focused on what's going on like other games. So I can't imagine they're playing something else like if it's an earlier game while they're getting warmed up.
Yeah. I thought maybe it might be something like maybe just something on a loop about maybe like the game's focus or whatever, or maybe some sort of like strategy or something like that, maybe before game on game day or something.
Right. But and I would assume if they broke it down and they did that so it was all offensive linemen in one area or offensive and then defensive.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
These are all wide receivers right here, you can tell.
On the right, yep.
And then wide receiver over here, kicker, punter, and that.
Yeah, really that's a kicker, punter. So
long snapper, kicker.
Yep.
Yeah, linebacker there. Maybe not then. I don't know.
So it's tough to say, but this is what it's looking like just from ground level. Right.
That shoe locker is amazing, right? Like all that's in there is just different types of shoes and cleats.
Yep. So depending on what feels best for them, right? And obviously Michigan's, they're a Nike brand now, or they're using Nike as their part of their branding.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Colston Loveland. We're gonna talk about him during, when we come to the game. But look at this pool
Loveland?
table.
Okay. Yeah.
So right here, that's his locker, right? But the pool table itself, and there it is, right? Right in the middle there, the national championship trophy,
Beautiful.
right?
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
it was fantastic. It was awesome.
I mean, look at some of this lighting though. Like it's very cool.
Well, it's RGB lighting, and it's all LED, so I'm sure they can change the color anytime
Right.
they want, right? So it's dim, so they can stay focused, right? You can see the Big Ten championship trophies. I think that's what those are right down there on the very end on the back.
Yeah, way over here.
Yep, these ones right here. I think those are the Big Ten trophies, at least the last three. You can see the playoff right here. But nothing tops the national championship.
No, not at all. That's really cool. It's got him, like the mannequin grabbing the hat, national champs hat, and stuff like
Yep,
that. It's really cool.
exactly. So
No, that like this is an amazing look. Really, let's see.
yeah,
A little golf simulator thing here. It looks like
it is. Yeah, and it looks like a section right there where they can watch. Even if they wanted to watch the game, they've got a section to do that. If they wanted to watch some game tape while they were getting ready,
Yeah.
right? They have that little area right there to be able to do that. But the golf simulator, I saw the video and they had some of the players, their reaction. I mean, can you imagine specifically if you were someone on the team last year and now you're coming
Right.
back into this locker, right? Knowing what it used to look like and now what it does look like and everything that's in it, those were the most impressive looks that you got from players. But even the freshmen that came in,
Yeah.
they got a tour of the locker room obviously last year, even when they were high school seniors and they were getting on their visits, right? So even for them, this was a huge change for them.
Right. Okay. Well, let's see.
I mean, it's its own hotel, right? It's like completely, they get to eat. They can get anything they want right here.
Yeah, and they can. Why? Hold on. I'm having issues. There we go. All right. Their own barber shop.
Yeah. Hey, you got to look good when you get those interceptions. And you put the glasses on. You want to have the hairdo right.
Let's see.
They can get them set up for that.
Okay, so that's their 2-lane bowling alley, huh? It looks like
here it is right here.
Ball
Yep.
return here.
Yep. So again, more seating, TVs everywhere. It's gonna show whatever's probably on. So you got to know that they're playing games, especially when it's a 3:30 game or a 7:30 game. There are games on, for people to watch.
Right.
But I think there's a picture of it coming up. But you got to think that most of these guys are using yeah.
There's a recliner, right?
That's relaxed right there.
Huh. Yeah, and all these pictures here, just so everybody knows, we got them off of X, from the Michigan football. They put them out there, directly for it. So it's
Michigan's athletic
X,
department X Twitter account.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then this is the last picture that we got from X, though. So whatever you're talking about, as far as I don't know.
It was the video gaming consoles.
Oh,
so,
well,
I think that's probably what the big TV was.
We do have a video that they put out as far as the players coming in, and actually like seeing it for the first time. I do have that. Let's stop sharing that for a second, and we'll get that up there.
Yeah, but just like I said, stadium capacity is just under 108,000 people, right? It's 107 something. I can't remember the exact number. Mostly because it doesn't matter to me. But Michigan has had over 100,000 people in their stadium for 325 games straight, right? And obviously, everyone's going to sit there and say, well, the COVID year, there was nobody in the I get it.
Right. I mean,
nobody
you can't count that,
had
though.
Nobody,
right.
No, they don't, right? So if someone wanted to say something about that, right? But if you took 100,000 and multiplied it by 325, like the number of people that have gone into that stadium, it's astronomical, right?
Well, let's see this then from the player's perspective.
Yeah. There's Donovan Edwards. I mean, they're bowling in their locker room. Come on, guys. Of all the locker rooms I've ever seen, I've never seen, not even on the professional level, a locker room that looked like that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I
Right?
love that. I love that.
Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna have to figure out, because I'd love to just experience myself, just to walk through it. Right? It's, to me, that's being in the locker room. While it's great to be in a stadium, to be in the team that you love and be in their locker room, that's like hollow ground.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like when I was at the Red Wings stadium, not being a huge hockey fan, I got to go to a Red Wings game and I was the veteran of the game, right? So I got the really cool experience. So I got, in the locker room, I've taken a knee right by the winged helmet, or not the winged helmet. Now I'm crossing them up, but next to the
Yeah.
logo for the Red Wings, the wing, right? And just, it's awe-inspiring just to be in that locker room, knowing who's walked through that locker room, right? Like the people who have sat in those seats before, and you're like, oh my God, you're the guy, you did this, you did, and it's just amazing. So
So I looked it up for you, brother, just so you know. The tour is between 60 to 90 minutes, and it costs $20 a person. You get to go onto the field. You get to go into the game day locker room, press box, club, and suite level. So
it's
a lot
totally
of the
worth
restricted areas.
Yeah, $20 is well worth it.
Yeah, $20 for that. Yeah, if and it does say, of course, there's some restrictions, right? Just so you know, like it's got to be scheduled 2 weeks in advance. It can't be on like a Friday before the game. No professional pictures are allowed, but I mean, we're not professionals. If we were to go, I don't think they're
Yeah, you're
considered
taking pictures
professional
with your
pictures,
cell
but
phone.
right. But at any rate, that's about it. Like otherwise, it's based on availability, of a tour guide, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I became a Michigan fan in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I remember this. We were at JD. We both went to the same middle school or elementary school.
Elementary school, yeah.
Yeah. So we went to Woodland Elementary, there in Flint, and they had it was if you had good grades and did attendance and all that stuff. So now in teaching we call it PBIS, professional or positive behavior intervention system, right? So it's a way of getting kids to try and do good things, and then they get rewarded for it. Well, part of that, they had this thing that was called a tree topper. I don't even know if you remember what. I assume they still had it when you were there. But
I don't remember.
I met the attendance and the grades, and I got to go. And got to go to the University of Michigan, and I got to go down onto the field and run down through the stands, get onto the field, ran all the 100 yards of the football field, and I just, like, you look like a little ant. And think about it, like you're in 5th grade, right? And this stadium, and the stadium then wasn't even as big as it is now,
right?
Because those press boxes and everything that you see in pictures today, that was just done and finished in 2010. So, But bottom line, it was just awe-inspiring. And from that moment on, I was like, I'm hooked. I've been a Michigan fan since.
So we kind of gone through the like pregame, kind of looked at some of the new stuff they added for the players.
Yep.
And we looked at the new scoreboard. That was obviously for the fan experience. That's pretty nice.
Correct.
But we haven't actually talked about the game itself yet, though. So why
Nope.
don't you give us a rundown of the game, but what you saw, what you liked, what you didn't like?
Okay. So before we get there, there's something that I love, and it just gets me excited, right?
Okay.
So where else in the world can you get Darth Vader to do your hype video because he's a graduate of the school?
I have no idea.
Right? Like, I mean, James Earl Jones does our hype video. And he brings it up onto the big screen, and he's putting his headphones on, and he leans into the mic, and he goes, "This is the University of Michigan." And it's chilling. So that's the start of all of our games, right?
All right.
And, then it's clips of old teams and championships. It's got Bo, obviously Harbaugh. Like, it's the coolest video ever. And if we'll find it. Hype video, James Earl Jones. This was 3 days ago. It's 2 minutes and 39 seconds.
Huh. Okay, I found it.
Okay.
I found the video of James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
It's someone that was actually there. It looks like they're at the game that you were at, and it looks like they kind of recorded it.
Because, again, if they have a first-time fan experience thing too, so the kids come in, it's their first game, and they get the certificate. This is my first game, so it's really cool. But just being able to see this, so go ahead. Let's hear what you got to say.
This is 22 seconds in, and he's right about ready to put the headphones on that you were talking about.
Yep. Here it is.
This is the University of Michigan. It's not yours?
Yeah. So now we got, of course, all the hype, right? This is the hype stuff.
I mean, it's Darth Vader, people. I mean, and I don't have the picture, but if you guys go to the M Live website, you'll be able to see the stormtrooper, the Michigan stormtrooper. He's awesome. So, and the hype video,
cool.
Yeah, and the hype video includes, former graduates, guys getting awards, the president, obviously, right? It just, and he just says, "This is Michigan." This is my favorite part.
Yeah. Huh.
New program. We are Michigan. Let's go blue.
Yeah, here they come out.
Yeah, and then they storm the field, the banner, with the band on either side and the block M.
That's That's awesome.
It is. So,
All right.
so that's how we get started. Darth Vader introduces our team, and we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
So the game itself, right? So there was a lot of speculation. Who was going to be the starting quarterback for this team, right? And it came down to Alex Orji and Davis Warren.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw the spring game back in April, Davis Warren, to me, played the best, the most consistent. Alex Orji, he's just a phenomenal athlete. Like, I've never seen a quarterback built like him. Right?
Okay.
I think about it's the receiver, DK Metcalf.
Okay.
Right? So like that physical type of specimen, that's Alex Orji. But not as a receiver, as a quarterback. Right? So it was a toss-up from there. Davis Warren did get the start. He really kept it on. Coach Moore kept it really under wraps, and probably until Friday. I think that's probably when he made the announcement to the team who was going to start, right? And we got it out, but no one was even real sure what was going to happen. Was it going to be a rotation? But it was a slow start for Michigan, right?
Yeah, lots of field goals, right?
It was. So,
but Orji did have the first touchdown pass, right?
he did have the first touchdown pass. Since we got off an interception, set us up in good field position, and then they brought Orji in on that play. So for most of the game, he was 1 for 1 with a touchdown. I mean,
yeah,
you don't. It doesn't get, I guess, better than that, right? 1 for 1. And then later in the game, he came out. He had a really bad throw. He was rolling out to his right as a right-handed quarterback, and he threw it 5 yards into the ground. He just like in front of his receiver. So it was. There were some moments where, because no one's ever seen Alex Orji play or throw a football in any game. So even when he played last year, he didn't throw. He came out. He was the running guy, right? So he ran the option. He was the zone read guy.
okay.
But Davis Warren came out. I thought they played well. Our offensive line, guard to guard, specifically at the center position, which I think they switched their center out midway through the game. He was just getting blown off the ball, right? Which hurts because now it hurts the running game. And Michigan's once they pound the ball. It doesn't matter who the coach is at Michigan. Michigan's going to run the ball. That's what they want to do. Okay? So, and we were just getting beat off the line, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I might be jumping ahead here, but I mean, the final score was 30-10, and I guess to me, some of the one score, like you said, was set up by a turnover, short field, and got the first touchdown. The other touchdown came off of a pick six, right? So you got 14 of your 30 points, basically off of turnovers, more or less.
Correct.
So your offense generated 16 points against Fresno.
I know.
Like that. I mean, look, from outside looking in, that was a little worrisome to me.
It was very worrisome, right? We had 250 yards of total offense, I think it was, somewhere around there. It wasn't a lot.
No.
Right?
No.
And most of our big runs didn't come until the fourth quarter, but that's also a Michigan design thing as well, right? Like,
wear them down.
You wear them down, right? You keep running the ball, you keep running the ball. But there was a point in the middle where we were having to take what the defense was giving us, and that was just the short passing game. And that's where, because Colston Loveland had a fantastic game, right? He had 80-some yards receiving and a touchdown. And this dude he's a beast. Like, there were 3 Fresno State guys trying to take him down. Like, and he was still moving forward. Right? So Donovan Edwards, not a great start, to his senior campaign here. Reason he came back because he knew he was going to be the number 1 guy, right?
Right.
But I think Fresno State keyed on that, right? They're like, Donovan Edwards is not going to beat us. and that's okay. Like teams are gonna do that. They're gonna game
Right.
plan for you based on
Right.
your best players, right? So they're like, Donovan Edwards is not gonna beat us. So Khalil Mullins came in. He had a great game. He's a actually converted linebacker playing running back, and had a heck of a game yesterday. A heck of a game.
Yeah,
Right?
92 yards rushing, 6.1 average.
Yeah.
And Loveland's a converted wide receiver playing tight end because he bulked up.
Yep. So you look, you want to get on the field and you want to play at Michigan, you got to be willing to play anywhere. I mean, Mikey Sandistro was when he graduated, got drafted, but he was a receiver before he played cornerback.
Right.
So that's not the only times that Michigan's done that. Okay, so there's a lot, and it goes way back even before Jim Harbaugh. You come out and like you want to play. You know, we had a quarterback. He had to be 6'7", and he was never going to see the field as a quarterback. And he converted to tight end, and he played in the NFL. And I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, and I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually. But you want to play, find a position. This is where we need you, okay? And he was built for it already. When you're 6'7", that's tight end build. Put on a few more pounds, put on some muscle. If you can catch the ball, you're going to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Defensively, Wink Martindale's defense, I thought they looked okay. I wasn't super impressed. Our defensive front four, I thought, were very dominant. Because we held Fresno, and it's Fresno State, right? But we still held them down to 30 yards of rushing, right?
Yeah.
The defensive ends look good. Josiah Stewart, I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, right? If he can continue to grow and do the things that he was doing at this game, I will tell you right now, teams are going to be looking at him for next year coming out of into the draft.
So, all right, look, Michigan played against Fresno State, but next week, it's Texas,
different game,
number 4.
Yep.
I mean, they just blew out, what was it, Colorado State or something like that?
Colorado
52-0.
Yep.
Right? And would you put Colorado State on par with Fresno State? And so you're kind of looking at one game 52-0, one game 30-10, in which your offense only got 16 points.
Yeah, and most of those points came in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. So, what do you... Just real quick, I mean, we don't want to necessarily have to go like a huge deep dive breakdown as far as next week yet, but one, I guess the question is, are you worried with Quinn Ewers? He had a pretty decent game. He did have one pick, but ultimately that defense, let up no points, and he only scored 16 offensively versus Fresno. Do you have any concerns about that game going into it?
I do, but that was. When I talked with Scott, my buddy Scott, about this, my record for Michigan was going to be 9-3. That's what I put out. All right. And it was hard. Texas was one of those losses. Okay. Because they are that good.
They are a good team. Yeah.
But Texas is also down some of their better running backs. So they're not going to run the ball as much. But they're going to throw the ball a lot.
Yep.
And so it is very worrisome. I thought on paper that Texas's offensive line and defensive line, because they're not as big and bulky, right? They're going to be more speed guys. That our offensive and defensive line should be able to man up. Right? At least that was my hope. Or at least overpower them eventually, right?
Yeah.
So, to me, Michigan has to be able to run the ball going into that game. Right? They have to be able to control the clock and keep Texas off the field as long as possible. Against Fresno State, Michigan, up until midway through the third quarter, late into the third quarter, Fresno State had more time of possession than Michigan did.
Oh, that's not normal.
No, and it wasn't, right? So, and it wasn't until that point until Michigan started, having some sustained drives. They were 3, 4, 5 minutes, right? That's the kind of thing that you're going to have to do against Texas. All right.
Yeah, Texas, just as an, for the listeners out there, against, like I said, Colorado State, they had 355 yards passing, but 190 yards rushing, and they still averaged 7.4 yards per play for a total of 545 yards for the game. And Archie Manning did play towards the end of the game, going 5 for 6, 95 yards, and a touchdown, plus a rushing touchdown too, I think. But
he did. He had a throwing and rushing.
But anyway, obviously we try to keep it real here. Michigan is your diehard team, and the fact that you're thinking that it's going to be a loss, you're not being a homer today, Steve. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So you asked me about Fresno State and comparing them to Colorado State.
Yeah.
Fresno State was a 9-4 football team last year.
Okay.
Right. And they had Xavier Worthy, notable player. Obviously, they got drafted last year, and he was a first-round draft pick out of Fresno. So there are some ball players at Fresno State. And during the tailgate, one of the Fresno State fans, whose son plays tight end for Fresno, stopped by and he's like, look, they've had this game on their calendar. Like, they came in to play.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think Michigan did a lot of thinking this is like a preseason game, the best way to put it, right? And they played a lot of players. They rotated a lot of people in. They rotated, right? Trying to just...
I'd expect that, yeah.
Exactly, right? What's going to be the best connection, best setup, right? I also think they did that simply because knowing that Texas is next week, they were trying to put a lot of different people on game film to make Texas have to game plan for a lot of different people.
Okay.
Right? And I don't know that that's the truth, but to me, who do you game plan at quarterback? Because Alex Orji played in the game too, right? So now you got a game plan for a quarterback that can run, right? And one that's going to throw the ball, right? Who's going to... But Michigan on the other side has to say, okay, well, Alex, you're going to have to go out there and throw the ball a couple of times just so we can set this up.
Right.
So, but yeah, Texas is going to be a tough game. I think it's winnable if the Michigan rushing game comes together. To me, Texas, I think, squeaks it out. I think it's going to be within 7 points. That's kind of my hope. I think it could be a 7-point game because Michigan still can control the ball.
Yeah.
And eventually, even if it's in the fourth quarter, the rushing game is going to happen.
I mean, I think you're right though. Overall, right? Like, I don't think Michigan tried dominating this game. They put a bunch of players in and out. However, I still find the 16 offensive points a little worrisome. Regardless, I mean, you're going again. It's not a. we can be real about it, right? It's not a team on your level. And and even playing some of your backups only having 16 offensive points, I'd say that's still the most worrying thing.
The midway through the fourth quarter, Fresno State was within 6 points. It was 16-10.
Yes.
So
because you had 3 field goals, right, on top of just the 1 touchdown that you got basically on a turnover. That set you up in good field position.
Well,
yeah,
exactly. All right, it put us down in good field position.
Why couldn't we finish those 3 field goal drives? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Now, maybe
poor play calling.
And I would have. That's what I was going to say, right? But the poor play calling to me, I don't know if it was where they just did it. They wanted to have a smaller playbook, because again, maybe they don't want to show anything to Texas
Correct.
or whatever, right? Like, so I don't want to sit there and automatically just say that, about the offensive coordinator, talk anything about him or whatever, like, and that be part of the plan. But nonetheless, like, that's exactly what I was looking at as far as like the play calls, how it was stalled. I was not very, happy with that myself, but I thought might be a reason behind it.
There's still an execution piece to the play that didn't happen, right? Like I told you, our center, and I could see it better from the sky view, right? So when they put it up on the board, the center was he snapped the ball, and he was already 3 yards deep in the backfield, right? He was not coming off the ball, and Fresno State took advantage of that.
Yeah.
So we were not able to run guard to guard very well. Guard to the tackle or just outside the tackle, I think that's where most of our big runs came from. And from both sides of the field. And our stretch plays, the ones that we try to go way outside, were horrible because the DBs are so fast. The linebackers are so fast. Right? And you're going to run into that at Texas. It's going to be the same thing.
Yes, it will.
So the only difference is that this game's going to be at noon. So that's technically 11 a.m. for Texas. Right? So depending on when they're going to be flying in, I know it seems like only an hour, but I'm hoping that throws their internal clock off a little bit. And so I think that's what you'll see early in the first half, is that some of that sluggishness trying to, play that out. And that's what will keep the game close. Will be part of what keeps the game close.
Well, I know it'll be a big part of the country watching that game too. Not even just Texas or Michigan fans, but this is
correct.
This has playoff ramifications, honestly. So
absolutely,
everybody's be watching this game.
Yeah.
So we're coming up a little bit over an hour here. Any last things you want to say about the game, your tailgating experience, or anything before we close this out?
No, well, as far as the tailgating thing, even if you don't go to the game, go tailgate, right? People there, they bring their TVs and a little generator, and they watch the games from there. And
stop by and say hi, right?
Stop by and say hi, because I will be there. I will be there.
All right. Well, look, we if you made it this long, we appreciate you watching, listening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got another video coming back. We still got some Tiger baseball to talk, as well as some Lions preparing for their first game.
Yep.
So we're going to try to get that out. But overall, we do appreciate you listening. Look, man, if you're a big fan of Michigan football, I mean, so is this guy, right? I mean, I love Michigan football, but I mean, not compared, right? But yeah,
see
exactly.
see my office? There we go.
So if you like Michigan football, like talking Michigan football, sort of this guy, so we're doing a lot of that this year. So like, subscribe, and other than that, we'll catch you in the next video.
Yeah, take care, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.